Okay, this is now the 5 Minute Tarot for the 3rd of March 2017. And today I want to look back at the yes no spread that we considered a few days ago. This is because Lisa, who asked the 3 questions, sent me an email, a follow up email, and she does an interpretation of the Nine of Swords, which I think is really, really good. And I want to I'll read this at the end. I'll put it on screen and read what she said, partly because it's good, but also because I think we can see, and anybody can see, that you can make progress. Because I think Lisa wouldn't have done this or said this like a year ago, but I think it's an indication that we can all make progress and we can improve our ability to read cards. Okay, so this is about the past, present, and future. And I need to begin by telling you about, I watched this video with Chris Do. He did, I've mentioned him before, he's the future on YouTube. And he's got an ad agency or a design agency called Blind. Anyway, he was doing a review of people's demo reels about graphic design. And motion design, I think it's called. So he looked at one person's demo reel where they had, there was, I can't remember the first shot, but there was like an illustration, and then there was a picture of a video arcade machine, and then something else. So Chris is making the point, people want to see meaning, and they also want to understand patterns. And so one shot or one illustration doesn't tell you the pattern. Two illustrations might, but 3 will, right? So we've got a yes/no spread, let's say, with 3 illustrations. So I thought, with a yes/no spread and 3 cards, what the 3 cards give you is a pattern for what the person's going through now, or it's a sequence that they go through. And this sequence is probably going to repeat more than once. And so it can be useful to look at the yes/no spread as a pattern or a sequence to get an idea of what's going on. And then you can give help or hints or tips or suggestions to the questioner on the best way or better ways of handling the sequence or the pattern that they're involved with at the moment. So Lisa's example was the Tower, the Devil, and the Nine of Swords. And so that can be the pattern or the sequence is upset, restriction, then and then feeling trapped and unable to see what to do or how to deal with the situation. And that's like what the pattern that the person is in. And it's relevant for that questioner at that time, because it's interesting, I think, to look for in our own time, to look at other versions of those 3 cards, because the sequence could have been the Nine of Swords, then the Devil, and then the Tower. So that sequence would be when you can't see what to do, or when you deliberately close your eyes to a situation, you become trapped and chained around the neck to something that you can't shift, you can't move. And then it requires an explosion to free you. Whereas, and maybe the point of the tower at the end being the lightning flash and the destruction of the tower, and it's an explosion and it's a mess and it's rubble left at the end of it. So maybe what you do is, when you can't face something, make yourself face it. Then you won't be as trapped. Then you won't need an explosion to clear the path, to give you something. And maybe it means that if you're not willing to make changes or examine what's going on, then life is going to do it to you, and in a much more severe and upsetting and disruptive and destructive way than if you had just had a little bit of courage and decided, okay, I'm going to face it, I'm going to do it. then you wouldn't be stuck in that repeating sequence of massive restriction represented by the devil and then destruction represented by the tower. So past, present, and future, think of it as a sequence or a pattern that the person's involved in right now. So Lisa's email, I need to go to open the email here. And so I'm reading. Okay, so what Lisa said was, because of your suggestion that the solution may be in the Nine of Swords, that's what I said from before, I went to your video for that card on your Tarot Course website. While listening, I noticed the nice quality of the nightgown and bedding. And that's something that you notice, but you maybe are not going to make much use of it or much sense of it with most questions. However, Lisa did. She says, she wrote, it's as though the person has all the basic needs and more, yet they remain oblivious. They don't see that they have everything they need, perhaps because they're still unwilling to uncover their eyes. My attention was especially drawn to the pattern on the quilt, which suggested to me a checker or chessboard. This made me think of strategy. And this is interesting, I think, what Lisa does, because she takes a point about the chessboard, and that leads naturally to the thought of strategy and making a move and understanding that if you make this move, the opponent or the circumstance can respond in a limited number of ways. But so if they respond this way, you can then understand by thinking about what you could do and what response you might get, you can figure out the most productive or the best move to make. Okay, so this suggested to me a checker or chessboard. This made me think of strategy, that the person should wake up, remove their hands from their eyes to face their problem, and harness the sharp intellectual and analytical power of the sword to see the issue for what it is and come up with a strategy to handle or solve it. Which is, I think, is you have to agree is pretty good, what she did with that and making sense of that Nine of Swords, given the context of the question. And that's important to remember. What's the context? What's the question? So with that in mind, it made me think, okay, who is the tarot for? And I don't think it's just for people who want to develop psychic ability or people who want to know the future. I think it's really for anybody. I think it's for everybody, but it's for people who want to figure out better what to do or how to do it, because it gives you ideas on different ways of dealing with or handling any situation. And you become, or you make use of your creative ability to come up with realistic and reasonable solutions. Okay, that's it. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but we'll find out. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye.